Good morning and welcome to today's live show. Sorry if you hear a little bit of crunching in the background, some ASMR from the dogs. They are eating their breakfast and they're pretty loud about it. But today we need to look at how things are going. It looks like the squeeze potential is here. We can see that from the 5-minute chart, from even the 15-minute chart on volatility. We see that we are getting this squeezing type behavior and that a 30-minute pullback can happen at any point. If we do go look at futures, something you can pay attention to this morning is if the potentially the 30-minute just confirms back down and takes out these type of levels, then you'll be coming back within those areas. So we'll be paying attention. The weekly expected move is at this area, and so this is a decision-making area. This means for the rest of the week, we have a 68% chance to close below this purple line, so we'll be paying attention. We do think that this has the opportunity to continue, and if we keep squeezing, we can keep continuing, possibly even into July. So what we're looking for today is, do we see some kind of setup before we actually get to GDP, or is GDP just going to cause some kind of pullback that then allows us to go higher into next week? We'll be watching for these things very critically. The other thing is, if we don't make any kind of 30-minute divergence or anything like that, we are watching this 2-hour very critically. If the 2-hour is able to confirm down here, it has a chance to take out these lows, and maybe we end up heading in the other direction into Friday. I don't think I'm leaning towards that. I'm leaning for a further trap with GDP or a further trap into this Friday. It gets you closer and closer to the end of the month, and it gives you the opportunity for a risky weekend with the right signals. So we'll be watching for that. We got to be thankful to the signals right now, especially from the Qs, for telling us, hey, there is a good chance that we're going to reverse up and the Black Monday calls are wrong again. And we're happy about it for the time being. We are above the 5. We are in a positive trend. We look like we want to continue, so we should treat it like it can continue, and it can be as simple as that. This morning at 9 a.m., you will have a rock in the stream. That will be Jerome Powell testimony happening at 9 a.m. my time, so 30 minutes after the open. Hey, can you confirm we're in the golden age? I don't know if I would call this a golden age right now. We'll have to see. That golden age might be coming later. Guten Morgen. Yeah, people are nice and saying good morning today. Yeah, as far as it goes for the SPY, we're looking for, this bar is the important one. So we're seeing if any kind of resistance comes in here. You still can't get that extension, right? If we're able to squeeze enough, that can be a good thing. But if we just create some kind of reversal signal here by Friday, or we start to dip down and cross a 2-hour like tomorrow, then we need to be paying attention. That's all I really care about right now. Arcane, good level, good level, good morning. Hope you're having a good one. Bernie, welcome in today. Golden age of America. I'm like, I don't know if I'd consider this golden age right now. We got riots and shit going on. I don't know about that. I don't think money's not easy to make just yet. I mean, I think it is, but the money to live a solid life isn't easy to make just yet. I think he's more pointing towards like when employees, you kind of have that power of the actual worker has the power. I think that's what you're waiting for the golden age for actual Americans. Like where pretty much where like the power shifts back to the people, then I think you're going to experience potential for like drops in the market, but your life will start to improve like job-wise. Oh, man, that first wave, though, of unemployment might be rough until these things get going, all these production facilities. If you need a daily expected moves, we do have 610.85 to the upside for the SPY. We have 602.71 to the downside for the SPY. For the Qs, we actually do see 544.15 to the upside. And we actually have 535.41 to the downside. Not the largest amount of implied volatility. And this upward move is going to shake off some divergences here unless we fade right away. So if this is able to continue to that upside, then we would be wiping out divergences and we would want to look for a lower high or some kind of divergence forming maybe in July. So we'll be watching for this. This is how much this can extend. I think we're going to run into problems before that. I think the longest that this could go is potentially just after the week of 4th of July, but we'll be watching for it. The Qs, get those levels up on your charts for the day. They are at the weekly expect move. They are above it, saying we have a 68% chance to do something like this by the end of the week. So just pay attention to that. It means if I have my longs, this is where it starts to be more runner's territory, less like, oh yeah, I'm going to start a position here. It's more just like, hey, okay, we'll see what happens next. But right now, for an opportunity, you're looking for a pullback to then curl up, and then maybe we can get to that monthly expected move for the Qs. Apple really started to break down here. Looked like the 2-hour was going to pull back, and then it just whips right back the other direction. I still think that this isn't too safe from seeing more pullbacks, right? Some kind of structure up in here that then fails. We will be watching for that, but if the 30-minute can cross up, it is in positive territory. So you always want to treat that like it can retest this high or go make a new one. Even if it does, we'll look out for another point of divergence or a lower high from something like Apple today. Tesla, our assessment on Tesla. This is where we think it's going to bounce, actually, is somewhere around 340 would be very, very nice. That means Tesla could go set up what? The reversal signal. If we see big 2-hour reversal signals, these are 30-minute reversal signals, but ones that can turn down the 2-hour, we will be paying attention to them if they're in the bigger stocks. We do see Amazon trying to head to that upside again at this moment, trying to go up and up and up. If that is able to extend the move, then we can keep extending the move into next week. But if this wants to just float around in here and reject, well, we're looking for the 2-hour to confirm back down into negative territory for something like Amazon. Nvidia breaking to the upside. Remember, we're still like, hey, I would like that test of 150. We are getting there now. So as of this moment, you are seeing Nvidia get to the level where it starts to get more and more risky for the longs. Just be aware of it. AMD, nice to peek your head above. This is very, very good. This is starting to look almost bullish, even if you pull all the way down into the zone. If you can break out and sustain this for a bit, you can just use this zone in here to head higher on the daily time frame. But if we're just going to peek our head up to here and then curl back down, we can see a pullback down to something like 115 if you really want to talk seriously about it. Meta, I think this one is getting riskier and riskier, and I do think it has the opportunity to go to 736.25, but I just think that that's a little bit worrisome for this week. But we can see that the 30-minute chart is extremely positive. So what do we assume here for Meta? This can continue the move into at least Friday. If you're going to see upside into Jerome Powell talking, using him as an excuse to pull back, and then you actually head higher, this is where we can actually look out for divergence right at the end of Friday from Meta, and let Meta be the one that we really utilize to say, hey, is there weakness overall in this market, at least from a big stock like Meta? And another one we can watch for is Microsoft, if that is able to pull back and then able to curl up into positive territory by Friday, and then we actually start to tip over on Monday. We can see that divergence potentially confirming going into Friday. Let me put these up here so you guys can see it real quick. And then we're going to go over to volatility, because volatility can do the same thing. Now, I still think that this type of move does need to happen. I still think we need to see, but we bought a lot of time. You see how this is drug out? No reaction, right? So if this is going to get some kind of little reaction, then we could fade that move into, say, Friday, and then volatility starts to pick up again on Friday, where we see something like this, which means our pullback day might be today going into Thursday. That could be very interesting. So that would mean today we do have a likelihood to fade the overall upward move. We'll see if that is going to take place. I don't mind it, man. I really don't mind these type of things. I think Target is just doing good things on the business end. I really do. I genuinely believe that. I know they flip back and forth with DEI stuff and things like that, little things like that. But as far as business goes, I like the business moves. I actually think they're pretty late on that. The direct-to-consumer shipping, I mean, there's other places that have been doing that for a long, long time. So I just think like Target's doing good things. At least they're catching up in some way, and maybe they were waiting to do it to make it more efficient. We'll have to see. Maybe they're personally doing it. I don't know how it's being utilized. I need to research into it more. But I like Target still to this day. I still like where it's remaining. It's just bottled up in this area. You're starting to get tighter and tighter and tighter in this area. So we're probably going to see a moment here. And right now, Target is suggesting it could break to the upside. I'm always going to be aware of this type of move happening. I think you still have the opportunity to potentially go all the way down to $78, but that's just my next little buy area. That's my next investment area. Remember, this is an investment. This is not something that I'm like paying attention to every day. This is an investment where I get to make some dividend money and then just say, hey, I got a really, really cheap price. And if it keeps going down, I'll just keep investing at like $78 until this zone is broken and we get a retest. Then I'd have to potentially take some off of there. I think that that is very low probability at this point, but I'm always aware of it. Spy on the daily chart, you know what I think is going to take place here. I think we are going to end up down in this circle down here by around this time. I'm giving it till August too, like August expiration as well. But this could be very, very interesting if volatility picks up starting at the end of this week or with GDP right away. Cool. Very, very good stuff. We are about to open up in just about 2 minutes. Make sure to get a big chug of your coffee because the market's about to open up, money's about to move, and you need to get to work. GME may go. GME has been rough, though, and I've said this for a little bit now. GME needs some kind of 2-hour higher low. I mean, in some way, you could consider this like an hourly higher low, potentially. I don't think this is necessarily exactly the best look for you, but what you really want to see is that extend now. If you're going to go, if you're going to just do something kind of weird here and just see this go bam to the upside with like, if you look at like 30-minute or hourly charts, I'm sure you see these things curling up and trying to go positive. You just need to make new highs every single time the 30-minute curls up to stay in a positive trend. Stay in a positive trend. And what you want is one of those moments just to pop off, right? Pop it off, right? One of these moments need to pop off for GME. Ultimately, the daily scale needs to curl back up for GME to even have a shot. So let's put it that way. If you go look at its cousin, right? We go look at AMC, that's closer to positive territory. I really don't mind the look of this, but it's not seeing any positivity. We need to see that positivity a little quicker. As you can see, the 30-minute even failed to take out what it really wants to take out so far. So if the 2-hour rolls, you're going to go deeper into this zone, but it's nice we're by that $3. It's exactly what we were really paying attention to. AVGO heading to the upside. This one as well is going to potentially create a daily divergence. This means for AVGO, once you get up to about above 270, things start to get really risky. Actually, for this week, things are starting to look risky already for AVGO. AVGO, as of this moment, does have a 68% chance to close back below 261 by Friday close. We'll see if that's able to take place. Maybe it makes a daily divergence first. As it stands, the SPY does have some probabilities here to fade this move, maybe with Jerome Powell in about 30 or so minutes, all right? So hopefully you guys are paying attention. I hope you guys are ready for a good day. The market is open, and it's time to get it going. Squeeze. Who votes squeeze? Because that's probably the easier vote right now. Who votes squeeze and who votes pull back to 603? Oops. Don't need that. I don't need that. I don't need it. What the hell? What the hell? Yeah, that's kind of what I have, Thomas. That's why I shout out 603. 603 looks like a great little area to bounce off of. I would love for that to be a quick little 30-minute pullback. Give me 1 second, guys. New high, good. It needs to keep making new highs over and over and over again. Or just go and never turn back down. This market is great. Google, remember that Google has a very high likelihood to get a 2-hour rejection. Where is Google most likely to reject from on this 2-hour? If you really wanted that area, you would say right at this level, about 172, 173. You are looking for that extended 2-hour move that then fails. So at this time, you can look at a 30-minute chart and look for what? You can look for rejection right now in case you need to go make divergence. You can look for this to extend and then make a lower high. You can look for this to extend and then make a divergence. So we'll be watching this very, very critically. The 2-hour is very likely to reject. You can see that from your technicals down here. You can see that we have broken the low with price action, but at the same time, your technicals are saying, hey, look at this. It's very, very negative. It is very likely to get some kind of bounce that then does fail to turn to the downside one more time. So we'll be watching for that. This has a lot of work to do. You really got to see this way up higher to be bullish again. It's kind of inviting the rolls. The rolls. Yeah, I saw people bringing up NU. I think it's did this have someone was saying this thing. See if it wants to load. There we go. Come on, come on, come on. Come on now. From this area, this is still very, very good, right? This is still a good thing. You're seeing the daily curl up by the center line. That's when you have the opportunity to do what? Good things, right? Keep it going, keep it going. But we run into this resistance, we come into this resistance. You're seeing the ping-ponging start. So just be aware if this actually breaks its head above, that can be a good thing. But you did leave behind a gap, and the 2 hours starting to get pretty overextended. So if NU really wanted to, you could see a sneaky moment here where NU like dips down to this type of area and then spikes back up. We'll see if that's able to take place. If the 2 hour is able to fully rotate down, though, and lose all of this, just be aware that there's some risk of heading down there. For the time being, the 30-minute is so positive, though, that you could just get a 30-minute retest right now and continue to the upside. What we're looking for NU is to get above 1387. That would be a good thing. If you break out of the entire zone, that's a great thing. So we'll be watching for that. And you usually do get some kind of pullback as you do break out towards like $15. You most likely will see like a 30-minute, 2-hour pullback somewhere in there. We'll have to see what looks probable. I'm going to look at my other charts for just a moment here. JP Morgan is at the risky spot. A lot of things are just saying like, hey, especially even the SPX, it's just like, hey, things are going to maybe pull back here. Gold's starting to get to its weekly expected move. Other things are getting to theirs. It's just like, okay, so we pull back maybe for a moment here. Then we see upside into Friday. That'd be interesting. So the way that this squeeze has behaved so far, we did not start the pullback going into late yesterday or this morning right away. That just tells me that we have bought ourselves a little bit of time here. You notice if the 30-minute curled down right now, we wouldn't necessarily be at risk of being like extremely like going into a negative trend, right? That would take a lot of work. So the fact that we've extended it for a longer period of time means we could be pulling back today and maybe we actually see upside again with something like GDP. That could be interesting. And then we have to watch out for Friday and things like that. We'll be watching, but this can just continue to squeeze up and up and up until we actually see some kind of pullback that then can turn up into positive territory one more time. We are looking for reversal signals now. Tesla getting a little tank in action there. I still think you get a reaction. Remember Tesla, the assessment here is I was really leaning towards what? Lower high. I was really leaning towards some kind of move down that curls up, then fails, and we actually curl down deeper. But if we've extended the timeline here, look for that to extend the move potentially into Thursday, and we'll see if that's able to take place. But for Tesla, for the time being, you're just like, oh, if the 2 hour crosses down, then we're going down to this level again. So you don't necessarily want that. I think you want the 30-minute to tap off this 5 and turn to the upside and go make a new high. But I think you are very likely to see something like, oh no. Just be aware. We're just aware of a lot this week. There's a lot of rocks in the stream. Come on, Apple, do it this time. Oh, it's such a hard place to get through. Do you see how difficult it is? Like, it's making another point here but you're just like, okay, this thing wants to pull back on the 2 hour. It kind of is saying that with this type of stuff. You need to squeeze through. This is good to peek your head above. It means if we go revisit these levels, we can figure our stuff out down here and head to the upside. Or this can just break through and we can start to talk about this, right? And then we break to the upside. So I don't think it's bad. I think the daily's curling up, saying daily swing trade is on. We'll see if that continues or flops and fails. But I think you got a little bit, you have like, it looks good, and then at the same time you go, okay, but there is like some signals here that don't look the best for the 2 hour to continue the move. So you kind of just watch those very critically and then make a plan and have a solidified plan for like, hey, if this happens, I'm staying in. Hey, if this happens, I'm getting the hell out. That's how I would look at it at this point for something like Apple. Yeah, it's getting slammed. You get LNG. Hold on one sec. I can only lose money on Tesla. Tesla's very daily pizza. I mean, I agree with you. Actually, I think Tesla is something you have to have the timing really down, because the implied volatility is so high that if you're off with the timing, even just by like a day or two, the options can change so much in there. It's probably a matter of patience there and just being very, very clear with 5 reasons. As it stands for something like SoFi, we were looking for that to get perfect. Awesome. 1578. Very nice. And the 30-minute looks like it wants to continue the move, doesn't it? So if this can keep going, that would be fantastic. We just completely blow it out the water and see this break above the zone. Once we break above this, we don't have to go all the way down to here anymore. We'll leave it marked off. But once we go up like this, you actually can pull down into these type of areas and just figure the stuff out with that left. That head, like big head, say. But overall, just good form here. Good structure here to head higher. And all that would be, by the way, is the 2 hour curls down, the 2 hour curls back up. Now, the 2 hour does have divergence, so you have to be aware right now it has not broken out. So if you see this 2 hour curl down, then you can go back down into this zone. All right? So you haven't done this yet. Just kind of saying like, hey, watch if you do. DJT has a lot of work to do to go back on the bull, right? A lot of work to do here to go back on the bull. A lot of little divergences there for your 2 hours. So if the daily can get going, this would be a great way to head higher. And we'll see if that's able to take place. If this is going to be a good move like this one, that would be fantastic. But that means what? We might just squeeze, right? If these things are kind of shaping up to squeeze, that is a possibility. I don't know, unless we're going to see one of those GME or AMC moments, I really don't see the market going down with like even those smaller stocks. The market wants to squeeze too. We did look at Nvidia. It looks like it wants to continue the move. Coinbase, as it stands, very crazy to the upside. I'll look at Bitcoin for this though. We'll look at Bitcoin on like a daily. Okay, if the daily curls up, hey, you're going up. Like, that's kind of what it says. And it overall says, like, we can extend the move pretty aggressively here. I think you could extend the move. I think I'm going to leave it on the table for potential to build up to 129K. But for this type of move, you're looking for kind of like something like 120 that then fails. Or you watch out even earlier and see if this is a fake out that then fails. But we don't see those type of signals right now. If anything, you just see a 4 hour that's trying to get going. So I think the 4 hour is very likely to, 2 hour pullbacks. But I think the 4 hour is likely to continue past these type of levels before you're able to curl down. And then you curl back up and you look for 4 hour divergence or that to scale up dramatically to wipe out those divergences and keep it pretty simple. All right, let me look at this real quick. Okay, we are going to go into 841. If you guys want, we can listen in on Jay Pizzle for Shizzle Dizzle one more time today, if you would like. Try not to talk too much while he talks so you guys can listen. Yeah, coin, if you're just looking at coin, by the way, individually, as far as starting a position now, it's rough to do that. Right, you're way overbought. You have potential for 30-minute divergence on the RSI. Your 2 hours just up and away. What do you need to do to really go higher now? This is great. You've broken through all of this. You've broken through all of this. As they are so close, you notice the bottom end of this zone is kind of the top end of this. So I think you're going to react back down into this zone. I don't think it will be a divergence play or anything like that. I think you're going to pull back into something like 287, 286 before you go higher. If we're treating coin individually, we're analyzing it individually, this is what we would overall take into consideration. This can change if it just follows Bitcoin and it's just making an earlier move. But as of right now, the easier, more simple opportunity to get into a trade would be a daily pullback. And that's the sad part, or at least a 2-hour pullback, right? A 2-hour pulls back into these type of areas, uses that zone to head higher, and then we can see another stretch of that overall move. And maybe you even know how to make weekly expected moves like we taught you in the course. Maybe you just use those. So you know, okay, well, if this pulls back, maybe it pulls back to a weekly expected move even next week, right? Maybe it pulls back into that move next week early on, and then you're able to catch that, and then it swings to the upside, and then you're able to sell that, and then you just go, okay, now there is risk of a drop coming for coin. As of right now, you would be looking for a lower high or a divergence for that to fall back down. I think that this is very strong, so unless we go through something awful, I think the 2-hour does say I want to continue this move, meaning that the next opportunity would be a 2-hour pullback. If it wants to go to the sky, that's okay. You have no idea if that's going to happen. You want to buy something low to sell it high, and right now it is high. If it wants to go higher, hey, that's its own problem, right? And planning out the trade is planning out the trade, and if the thing that you want to happen in order to take the trade doesn't happen, then there is no trade to be had. Maybe the inner city cat lady will ask really smart questions. Yeah, exactly, Pish. That's pretty much what it is. It kind of just like bums me out, to be honest, listening to that stuff. Reddit? I haven't looked at Reddit in a minute. I'll go look. Oh, very nice. You were really, really close here. Yeah, this is actually very, very good. Like you were one step away, one low away, right? You roll this, you retest, you roll that again, and then you're down towards 116. So very, very nice to continue the move. If it just flashes down right now, you might get your daily pullback though. Eventually, like it seems that we will want to test this area unless we can really raise that floor, right? If we can raise the floor by seeing a move above 175, we can see a burst up to here. You can use any of that to head higher at that point, right? We can use this, and then we can use all of this. So if you're able to just break through that, you can come into here. If you're able to break through consistently, you can go into here and then curl up into positive territory. This move isn't over as far as I see it. This move is like the first one. So you had your higher low. Now you're going to go up, and you're potentially going to make another higher low and then head to the upside again, unless you just pop off and squeeze, right? We're talking about where the next opportunity would be, because it's very hard to be like, yes, I want to go long while the MACD looks like this, while I'm overbought. Am I just trying to catch something like this? Do I have a weekly expected move? Well, I need to take this out to go higher. If you want, I can mark that off for you. You just need to take out this block right in here to actually head higher. You can put that in green, maybe put this one in red and say, hey, if this one's lost, and that's not necessarily a good thing, and you would say, hey, Merry Christmas. We're stuck between these areas until we break aside. Break aside. And you can come up to this area, pull all the way back down into here, and then break through that zone if you really want to. But right now, tapping into the zone would say rejection area right above you. Hopefully you have weekly expected moves at the least. Wow, calls are going insane right now. You are seeing a 0.582 put to call ratio. As pullback is very probable here. I know we're squeezing, and I know that's extremely bullish decisions over there. 0.582. That causes me, that is really bullish. So you literally are even seeing in the PCC, it's like squeeze or trap today. That's what it really looks like. Squeeze or trap. Like that's genuinely all you have. You don't really have any other bullish indication besides squeeze, and that's very hard to take a play in unless you're probably a little day trader or something like that. Do you think SPY will pull back? I think it will pull back with Jerome Powell personally. I think you are going to see it pull back down into 603 personally, 604, 603. I'm not betting on that. I want to be very clear. I'm not betting on some kind of pullback or something. I'm just looking for a pullback in case I want to take like a little trade into Friday or something like that. But overall, in my notes, I still have written what? Be patient and look for the topping signals. That's my job for this week, is to sit back, relax, watch stocks do what they want to do, and look for a reversal signal that's potential with GDP. I think we're a little bit less potential for that now. I think we bought ourselves some time. So now I'm going to start to pay attention to Thursday close and Friday close for what these things shape up to be. I think that is on the cards, right? We can see a burst here. If that amount of bullishness sticks and nobody really is bearish, then bam, we can go up, right? If everyone's buying, then it's kind of hard to go down. I just think that in previous times where I've seen things like this, I like to sit back, relax, and just go, okay, cool. I'm going to potentially wait and see if the pullback comes, and then really just look for those topping signals. Eventually, if we squeeze now, we want to extend this into next week, we can make those next week. If we stop now, we pull back now, we can make those by the end of Thursday, or even a lower high on Wednesday or Thursday is possible. So we'll be watching very critically. Housing market looks like it needs to pull back. Not able to make a new high, but a lot of good things above. Yeah, a lot of good things here. It looks like 30-minute pullback incoming. So housing starting to 30-minute pullback while the market does not. I know they're not in the same state right now, but I just want to look at some points that can maybe add to some credibility. Well, Tesla is supposed to ping pong. Tesla's ping ponging. I told you, Tesla's ping ponging. Bing, bong, bing, bong, bing, bong. And this might take a little longer than that. Yeah, till you break this or break this, I'm not necessarily the happiest with Tesla, you know? It's just going to do this. Middle, here, down, middle, here, up, right? Hopefully you see a break sooner rather than later. The SPY is starting to show a little bit of weakness here. We will see if this is able to fade the move. Fade is on the table for this morning. I don't think I have the daily moves, do I? Okay. Yeah, and there, if you look on the futures, you see a reason for the 2-hour 2 curl down. Will GDP surprise and be a good thing? That'll be the crazy question. Thought the ping pong range was 335. I can double check. 335. No, the ping pong range, I mean, well, you might have, I don't know, is this 335? No, either way, I extended this because we need to take out that high, still keeping the same zone at the low. So your ping pong zone is rather large for Tesla, which makes sense. It has high implied volatility. It's actually 282.52. And I don't believe I've changed these zones. I did extend it up, so this has moved up to about 350. So we've been saying about 350 all the way down to like 280. Yeah, it's a nice little range. You just go, okay, up, all right, cool. All right, down, all right, cool. All right, up, all right, cool. Oh, we broke the low. All right, I'm not taking the up anymore. No, you're good, Matthew. And I did change one of the zones, so you might not be totally off. Oh, but that's a small zone. No, the Tesla's implied volatility is super high. So, and that's for like a daily ping pong, by the way. Maybe you could consider it like 2-hour trend ping pong, but overall, I think you're just like, okay, Tesla's in the area where it can pull back. It did break its head above. Like, this isn't a bad thing. The bad part is you've broken both, kind of, right? You've kind of, said, hey, the door's open to go lower. Okay, now that door's closed. We're actually open to go higher. So we're looking for a pullback, but if we can do this again, that's going to be bad. So what you really want to see here is this to whip back up from this area, meaning you just want the 2-hour to pull down, kind of sit here for a bit, and then curl back up. And then we'll watch out for 2-hour divergence, unfortunately. I don't know if you have enough time for that. I think the 30-minute needs to get going, and then yeah, I think your high potential for lower high or a divergence there. Yeah, I don't even think this thing looks like it wants to turn around, but if it's all a retest, then it's going to dip into that line right there, and then it's going to go up. We'll see if that takes place. We'll leave it there. I don't like to trade Tesla too often. I like to pay attention to it because I know retail likes it a lot. But I don't trade Tesla too often. The implied volatility is too high. We kind of discussed this in a video, actually, where if there's a top and you're trying to call a top and you see a stock with a huge amount of implied volatility versus a stock that looks like it's going to see a mean drop and it has a little bit of implied volatility, sometimes the better one is the smaller implied volatility because that can increase the premiums quicker as implied volatility has the opportunity to rise. Just something very interesting to think about. We were thinking about that with stocks like Meta. I don't know if it's true for Meta. I need to look at the options, but Microsoft, right? If Microsoft shows a 30-minute divergence here, 2 hours very likely to curl down. Is the 2 hour at risk? Really? No, it says I could continue this into next week. So we're gonna potentially have to see like something really bad this week to tear down, is what a lot of stocks are suggesting. That's what they're saying. They're saying now we've extended this move. We could go past GDP, right? GDP is still a window here where we need to pay attention, but overall, you're going, oh, okay, we've extended the move enough now, right? We've broken every high. So we've extended the move enough now that if you saw my drawing was what? And then we talked about what? My drawing was this at the beginning of the week, right? By Wednesday. But we also put in there, what if we go higher? If we go up, then we raise that floor because we have more time. You can pull back into, say, Thursday, then you head up into Friday, then you can tear down possibly on Friday and start to head in that downward direction. All right, so now every single time that this stretches, right, if this stretches up to here, you have to move it over. Right, and this could be lower high, but still, you want to be moving it over, and you probably move this up. Then you'd have to move all this around. So we're at the stage where you're here. So if you're right here, then the pullback to 603 makes a lot of sense, going into potentially even end of day, like right into end of day, or even say Thursday morning, like early on. And then you actually see upside into Friday, which then sees some kind of fall, maybe during Friday session or Friday close. Because they really like to leak things out to the close these days. So we have extended the move. It is possible to extend into Friday now, not GDP. We talked about this last week, and now we see us extending into GDP when everyone's calling Black Monday. Now we're saying it today, so treat it like it can extend, but if you see something bad around GDP, then you see something bad around GDP. I think the market looks really, really nice. I think this is why I've been saying for the past few sessions, I think it'll be a fake crash. I think they're going to tell you things are crashing. I think you're going to hear crash, 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 crash. And then there's going to be a Monday or something where people say the biggest Black Monday of your life, and then you're just going to curl up into positive territory from right there or right there, right? This is a guess. This is a please get there circle, by the way. What I think this can still, as we raise that top, we can raise the daily pullback. As we raise that top, we can raise the daily pullback. So if we're able to make new high here, I don't know if we'll go revisit 560. I think you could just pull back into potentially something like 580 and then head to the upside again. So it really depends on how high we extend this overall move. Stocks are suggesting, there are some stocks out there that are suggesting that this week is very, very vulnerable to create some kind of top. So that's why we're watching critically. Good for you, because I'm on that Vig's Law. Yeah, you're like, I'll watch you today, Pieter. Yeah, I'm not, and just thinking we go down is I wanted to go over the reason that I think we'll go down, and it's good for me to think we'll go down here. I'm not saying I'm thinking we'll go down. I want to trade downside. No, we're squeezing. That's silly. Hey, a short squeeze is happening. Oh, let me short it. Makes no sense. But I can say, for the next opportunity, do I want to jump in right now, or what would be best? A 30-minute pullback, does that look really, really likely? Well, actually, it looks very, very probable, right? even for the day, you're like, it's maybe not the most probable thing, right? But it is very, very probable to turn down and be the next opportunity is when we actually curl down on a 30-minute chart and retest that 5-day. That's what I like to do. That's how I like to talk. I like to talk that way, especially to people who are trying to learn about this stuff, to say, like, my thinking will dictate a lot of my decisions, obviously. And so how I think really matters, what I think about matters, and how I view these stocks. I'm not viewing a stock to take a trade every single day. I'm viewing a stock to look for the moment where I'm going to take a trade in 2 or 3 days. That's what I like to do. Tesla's difficult, Daily Pizza. I genuinely think that. I think your timing has to be very good with it, or you extend out the timing. But like if you just go sideways, literally any option a month or 2 month out, if you just go sideways for like a week, Tesla eats your ass alive. It really does. But you want to really focus on, like, am I not managing trades when it's there, right? If I'm really trying to time it, then I better be managing trades, because Tesla is very good about doing this, being like, yeah, we're going higher, then it goes lower, then it goes higher. So you have to like manage or re-add and then take that trade later, or take a little bit of profit, get back in on the dip almost every single time with Tesla. It's just, there's a lot with Tesla. I can see sporadic things. Oh, you did? Every YouTuber said robo. No, we weren't saying that. We were saying resistance. You're literally out of weekly. You want me to show you? I'll show you why we're saying what we're saying. By the way, um, you probably know if you're part of Patreon, you know. But we literally have a purple line right there. I'll show it to you. It's fine. We were literally saying retest is the most likely thing. 30-minute pullback is the most likely thing. You've already done something great here, being able to peek your head above this area. But now you want to pull back to go higher. So Tesla, weirdly enough, it should go higher. It's just, is it going to go higher right now? And do I have the confirmations to actually risk money, right? If you're actually using technicals to make decisions, then you still can have your assessment on the market, but still have to be waiting for those 3 to 5 reasons to take a trade. This is where that green line is where we should retest. That would be very, very nice to get there. Don't have to. Yeah, someone usually knows about news before you do. So once you see robo-taxi all over Twitter, the move's already happened for sure. What's the FX evolution statement? If it's in the press, it's in the price. And if it's on Twitter, it's no longer a hitter. Let's put it that way. The news sold it off. Yeah. It is what it is. Yeah, because it's already it's pricing in, Jim, right? They price it in before it happens. That happens with Tesla like all the time. Oh, I hate these headphones. I had to send in those headphones that I was talking about. They were peeling again. Those really nice ones. And now I have to wear these little ones, and they hurt my little ears. Let's just think about those decisions very simply right now and say we're at a weekly expected move. A lot of things can happen here. Maybe being patient's a good thing. The news should be against the law. I don't know I don't know the Tesla news. I don't pay attention to news enough. Bought the news or event when I was starting out, destroyed my accounts. Exactly. They price it in before. And actually, before people say it's pricing in, it's already being priced in. That's the crazy part. Like a lot of big moves, you see a big spike, and then it comes down. Then you'll hear that rumor, and then it'll start to go up. But guess what? People are already in it, right? Those people are already in it. They already knew. Those are the people that get this to swing up, and maybe they got that to, say, confirm a what? Divergence. But in Tesla's case, they got it to confirm a higher low. So when do I think that they knew that Tesla was going to do a move like this? I think it was right here. I think these guys knew. I know it's crazy, but I think these guys knew. Right there. 1, 2, 3. Exactly what we looked for, right? Hey, guys, Tesla next week. Everyone's bearish on it. It's at a monthly expected move, and look for a higher low or a divergence down here. A higher low comes. We say, hey, the buying's kind of weird, but you do have a higher low. We said that over on Patreon. And then it heads to the upside, and we go, yeah, we still have the assessment, though, even though it looks wonky here. Before this happened, we said 325 is what I think is very possible, or tap into the zone. We tap into the zone, you consolidate, and then we say, what's likely to happen here? Well, it's just a 2-hour pullback for the time being, and it's above the 5, so that can get to what? That can get to 350. It gets to 350, it makes a new high. That's fantastic. Curl down. Now what are you looking for? A 30-minute or 2-hour pullback still. Now, this is getting very aggressive, and you're making strong sellers above on a news event. So I think that this is where you still pay attention to what did we say about Tesla at the beginning of the week? As it started to get to these levels, we said pullback is very likely. Look for that to make a potential lower high. And now we're looking for a potential lower high at this point, or some kind of divergence. But with the strong sellers, it's going to be very difficult to get through those. We'll see what happens. Tesla's a crazy stock. Yeah, that's overall how it goes. And if it wants to flip back down, well, you've already reached 350. Flip down if you want to, son. So Tesla now, if you wanted to look for Tesla now, what you'd be looking for is potentially next week, or say like 2 weeks from now, you're looking for another test down in this area. You're looking for a test in here if it goes really well and you break that upside. Once you break it, no, not as highly probable, right? Once you break it, you're able to just turn down into here and go higher, right? Even if you break it a little bit, you're likely to turn down into here and go higher, okay? You can still head down in the downward direction. You're just not very bearish on it, right? So as it stands, if you lose this area, you are going to go to here towards 295. If you're lucky, you stop at 308 at the gap fill. If you're lucky, but you're literally breaking a zone to go lower at that point. So the next timing here is like 295 for Tesla, right? For where it would like to go based on the information we have. But if this happens, all of that changes. So what is the most likely next beneficial trade where this can happen is just if the 30-minute can curl up into positive territory. Remember when we drew that line? It's right here. If you want, we can move this line down to it. Literally right in the middle, right there. Like 325. Yeah, 325 looks about right. If it can dink off that and see some positivity, but right now you have what? Ooh, big, like sellers, even at the wick up here. There is a huge amount of sellers that can keep this thing rolling. So really what you look for here is like, do we just see a break of that level? Then we come up and we reject again, and we actually start to break down aggressively. Maybe it leads into Friday. We'll have to see. This is very interesting stuff. Maybe we just turn down on a 2-hour on the SPY. That is something we will pay attention to. If this confirms down, it is closer to the center line. If this confirms down, it is holding the divergence point right now. So you literally can still just see you don't have to create 30-minute divergence. I think you're going to, or you're going to extend the move into Friday. That seems probable now. But if the 2-hour confirms down, the game's the same, man. If you 2-hour curls down, crosses below all this, lose this low, what are you looking like? You're looking like this. Woo, woo, woo. It could be worse than that. It could literally be through here, and you're there very quickly, like towards expiration of July, right? If it really wants to get ugly, then you see something bad, and it continues probably into end of July. Like right there. Yeah, that could still be mid-July, actually, if it's quick enough. We'll see. So 2-hour curls down, risky. That's how you'd put it. You would put it that way. Hey, that's too risky for me to take a long on if the 2 hours curling down. How do you make money on Tesla? I don't make a lot of money on Tesla. I'm very honest with you. I don't. But I do pay attention to how it moves because I like looking at it for retail. So how do you make money on Tesla? You have to be very, very quick with it. And you have to look for great signals, right? So at this point, how could you have made money on Tesla? Well, we talk about a lot of things, but if you really just, take out all the noise and you say, okay, maybe I'm short here, and then you realize, oh, the 30-minute curled up here, so maybe it's not the right timing. So the 2-hour confirms here. That means, oh, I take the trade, right? That's the good confirmation. Okay, good. I take the trade at 348 and I say, hey, this is going to break the level of 331. And then I get a 30-minute to curl up right here. Is that worrisome? You might say slightly. And maybe you say, hey, I'm going to react on this because I just bought this. I'm going to react on this and see if the 30-minute gets one of those rejections, just in case the 30-minute wants to go like this. And then you go, okay, now I'm going to put that option back on. And guess what? Boom, the trade happened. This is all the trade is, really. Now, if you're doing a month out, what you would like to see is, hey, I'm going to wait till we see something dramatic. We just broke that zone, and nothing here looks bullish. Then we break it again, and that's where you make your big money. But you could always take a little bit of profit down here, look at your weekly, monthly expected moves and things like that. So what you had here was the perfect structure to go down. Almost. I'll say almost perfect because we didn't break the low at this point with price action. But as far as your indicators go, the 30-minute curled down and you saw a big move to the downside. And you needed what? Oh, you needed a daily pullback because you had 2-hour divergence. So you knew a daily pullback was very likely. So weirdly enough, that option from what, 348 right here, if you just held on to that for a few days and you just watched the price action here, you're like, and you maybe had a moment here where you said 30-minute off, 30-minute the trade back on, okay, you make money. And then you want to sell it right when it hits a move, weekly or monthly, right? If it hits a weekly, you can take your profit and then you can say, okay, I'm going to leave a couple of runners. You leave those runners, you hit a monthly, you take your profit, and you have a great trade. You have to be very quick with it. And I know this is hindsight. I'm not going to be a guy that lies to you and says oh, I think that Tesla is easy to execute on. I think it's difficult, and that's why I don't like to trade it very often, because implied volatility is so high. I'm going to be very honest with you and say, looking in hindsight, it might be a lot easier, but I can map out how the thinking would have been to be successful in the trade, right? Hey, 2-hour divergence, what's likely? A daily pullback. Okay, do I see bad things from the 2-hour? Yes, I do. Okay, awesome, I'm going to take that. Oh, the 30-minute curled up. Okay, well, I actually took it up here. I can break even on that right here when that 30-minute curled up because the trade was actually right here at 348. So if I would have managed the trade right in here, right there, right when it curled up, that's perfectly fine. I actually might make money on that. Then it curls up and you make a new high and you go, oh no, this could be it. And then you go, oh, we curled down in negative territory. I'm reapplying it, see if we break the low. And then boom, you're part of the downside. Right? Timing, I think, with something with high implied volatility, I think timing is a very big issue. And so that might be your big problem. Maybe you need to just be moving back and forth, taking more extended options and things like that, just to be able to add to positions if something goes wrong or be able to manage a trade if something does go wrong. Yeah, a lot of Tesla is going to be timing. It's kind of like day trading, like with the SPY. Like your timing is kind of everything, and you just want to catch that move. And then if you're looking for the daily pullback, then understand you're looking for the daily pullback, right? Something you can do to make yourself feel better is just acknowledge what? Like if you're mapping this out and you see 2-hour divergence, all you have to do is say 2-hour divergence, okay, looking for the daily chart to cross on MACD. Okay, when the daily crosses on the MACD, I feel pretty good. Okay, 2-hour divergence. When did we cross? Right? You look, when did we cross? When did I start feeling better? It was actually right here, right on that 30-minute push up. So you're curled down and the 30-minute pushes up and then rolls. What do you think's going to happen? Daily momentum could take over and you could head to the downside. 2 days later, you make a shit ton of money. Right? The daily curled down, that makes me feel better about the trade. Right? You want to have those little feel-good things to make sure, like, hey, remain in control the whole time. That's why you manage on the 30-minute, and that's why you get back in on the 30-minute, because you are staying in control. You might think it is silly. You might think it's stupid. You might think it's dumb to take profit, let it go up, wait for it to roll, get back in the trade. You might think that's dumb. But the one time that you don't do that, this stock is going to do this, and you're going to lose a bunch of money, like a ton of money. So what's the harm in managing a trade in the middle of the day and then saying, okay, I'm going to wait till tomorrow and see if we jump up and test that 5 and fail? Yeah, like mapping it out that way is very, very nice. But if you're looking at a 2-hour divergence, remember what you're looking for after that. If the 2-hour divergence causes a good confirmation of the daily pullback, then sit there and say, do I see something that can violate the daily pullback? Oh, okay, the 30-minute curled up. That's a little bit worrisome, right? It's very negative, though. Maybe I'm not worried about it at all. Now that I'm underwater, I might start to get worried. But maybe I just wanted to reapply the position as it's going into a perfect level for price action to reject it, right? There's tons of ways to think about it. But I like to manage it, and then I like to get back in. I don't really trade Tesla too often, though. So all of this is hindsight, and I want you to take it with a grain of salt because I'm not actively like trading Tesla. I don't think I've taken a trade on Tesla in like 2 years. We've seen great little trade setups. I still talk about it. I still like to pay attention to it. We just lost an important zone. We can go into the bottom of it still, but that's where you'd like to hold up. We'd like to see a wick above that. As it stands, the SPY is starting to see some fading. We'll see if that is able to continue. I think you could see all-time high, but the thing is, and I took a screenshot of it, this has not trended. This has not trended the entire time. Jaylen Brown, all-time highs. This is the first time I've seen that trending in the last few months. And once this starts trending is when I start to pay attention. You might have saw one of my little tweets. you might have saw my little tweet where I said the euphoric "we can't go down, all-time highs" trending moment is finally here. We're close, maybe even GDP close. I'm going to be heavily paying attention to topping signals pretty much from right now. I think we have risk right now. I think it's fine right now, all the way up into 2 weeks from now. And that's sad to say, but that's what the price action is telling you. I know you probably want that daily pullback. We've wanted it for weeks, a couple of weeks now. But the market keeps remaining resilient. So our job is to watch the market and see if it's remaining resilient, so we're not caught up in some kind of squeeze. So hopefully you weren't caught up in some kind of squeeze, because we've been talking about the fact that we had 30-minute divergence down here on that RSI for the Qs. That was really, really nice to pay attention to. Trying to get away from watching market all day and learn to Bro, you guys, if you're watching, I mean, if you're a day trader, it's different, but you really want to be trading to open up your life to time. Like, right, if you're giving away your 9 to 5 to look at markets for 14 hours a day, did you really get rid of your 9 to 5? You know, did you really? Yeah, that's Tesla's down. Okay, good, right? 350. We've called this out for a while. Still opportunity to make what? Lower high. Lower high was the assessment, right? Lower high or divergence. Which one did I say I'm leaning towards? I like lower high because Tesla. 7 likes. Yeah, we're doing terrible today, apparently. It's because we're not 30-minute pullbacking right now. Yeah, so Matthew, let me read this real quick because I see Richard responding to you. Market all day and learn divergence, but I'm just not sold on it yet. I see divergence, then it just changed. Yes, so Richard is correct to point out the environment. I'll show you something. When the environment is very, like, say, negative gamma, say downtrend, these divergences will play out more aggressively, right? Okay, these divergences will play out more often if you're actually seeing like negativity in the market. If you're starting to see a squeeze to the upside, if you start to go into squeeze environment, this is volatile environment. This is just high volatility environment, like bear market volatility environment. This is squeeze environment now. This is when we shifted, right? When we broke through here, we shifted into that squeeze. Where you can see scary things, but you always want to just irrationally pay attention to how it can remain bullish. Here, we used price action to say we could go higher. You notice that there's divergences at these levels. There's divergence here. It played out, it caught itself. There's divergence here on the 2-hour. We suggested not paying attention to it at that time. We gapped up. You see divergences here. All we do is pull back, decent pullback there, 2 hour, bam, to the downside, we curl back up. So what you want to understand is also environments. The environment you're in is still the squeeze one, but now you're in like stage 3. You're in like stage 3 of the squeeze, right? So that means you're in stage 1 was bottoming and seeing the move. 2 was consolidating to go higher. 3 was actually you're in stage 4 almost. You're getting 4 stages here. You go a little bit higher, but you notice that the upside every time we go up, every time we go up, every time we go up, and every time we go up might be getting smaller and smaller, right? Even this one here is smaller. So notice that the moves are getting smaller, which means what for momentum? Your momentum is getting weaker as well. So now that you are at an area where you can pay attention, aka a weekly expected move, and you see other stocks like Meta at its monthly expected move, you start to be the guy that goes, You start to pull up this face, and you start to go, Now that everyone thought we were doing this around here, everyone thought we were doing this around here, but now that we're here, everyone thinks we're going to do this. And you just go, let me pay attention because everyone's saying new all-time highs again. Whereas what we're seeing is Meta's a little tapped out, Microsoft's a little tapped out, but they can continue the move. But now I'm going to pay attention for a reversal signal because everyone is paying attention to and ignoring that narrative of daily pullback now. Did you notice that? It kind of went out the window randomly. Monday's price action happened, and now nobody's talking about a massive pullback, except for the people that you probably trust. Notice that the people that you probably actually trust are still saying, watch out, daily pullback is still the easier trade. What factors are in play to be a squeeze? When you break certain levels, positive gamma, all those type of things. So when you knew you were a very high potential to squeeze was when you broke through the center point of this zone. So for me, when I'm like, hey, are we going to flip back to bullish and squeeze? I like to mark off a zone and see, hey, if we break out of this, we have that squeezing going on. Originally, it was if we break out of this, we can squeeze. Notice we did. Then we see a pullback. And then it was, hey, if we break out of this, we can squeeze. We did. Then we see a pullback. Hey, if we break out of this, we can squeeze. Okay, so then we go up past that. We start squeezing, and then we pull back. So as we break out, what do you think is high potential now? To squeeze. But the moves are getting smaller is all I am suggesting at this point. And you still can revisit this level, by the way, down here, as of where we stand. So squeeze behavior, if you want to see it from a chart, just look at your look at a 5-minute, and you're going to see multiple times where stocks just a 5 minutes actually good to see if you're squeezing, because it can leak into 15 and 30 minutes as well. If you see it on 15 as well, which you do in this scenario, see how the 5 minutes just going up, and this is just going straight down. But you're not necessarily seeing like volatility. You have to understand what volatility is. You need bigger moves here to really read into this 5 minute. It's overall just squeezing. Now it is by the center line, and this could be the moment you roll. So the most likely probability is you're going to see a 30-minute pullback, right? But the squeeze behavior can be shown to you on these shorter time frames. Straight down, straight up. On stocks like Microsoft, you can see it on daily scales. Look at this daily scale. Heads up, heading straight down. So you're looking for a moment where you see it on the MACD and RSI. Get that green blip kind of moment to happen. And you're actually at that potential right now. But if you go look at a 30-minute after looking at, say, the daily is squeezing, you can see it a little bit sooner. Right in this moment, right? You can probably see it multiple times, but right in here, you kind of start to see it, right? Right in... Actually, right now, you're kind of starting to see it. So, yeah, there's multiple ways, but when you squeeze to the upside, usually it's just a positive gamma, big trap kind of play. So once you see this as well, here's the other way to think about it. I'll give you a way to think about it. you know the environment is extremely volatile, right here. So when the 2-hour curls up, you go, okay, we have potential to squeeze. That's what you do, right? You read into the psychology of the market and you say a 2-hour higher low was our scenario number one. We made the 2-hour higher low, and then we will squeeze. To get to where? To get to this zone, to try to break the upside, to pull back and squeeze again. And that keeps happening and happening and happening. So you're not seeing an environment yet that is volatile, right? You're not. What you need to see is volatility pick up going into the end of this overall, I would say, cycle to the upside. I want to see volatility pick up. I want to see some waves here. I want to see some down into up, into down, into up, into down. I want to see volatility pick up because volatility is breaking down below 20. So I want this to get back above 20. And then we can be in that environment again. That's another way to like kind of treat it. Are we below 20 or above 20? Right? Do we have something that looks like it could break us below 20? Those are all squeeze type of things. They live by working Weeble stock. That sounds awful. Are we tuning into J Powell? We can put him on if you guys would like to hear him today. Oh, God.
Projecting. Chair Powell, what has changed in the last 6 months that has caused the Fed to forecast substantially higher inflation, somewhat higher unemployment, and lower economic growth than you did in December?
So some of it is just taking signal from data reports that we've seen. Some of it is people working in the possible effects in the short term of tariffs. We have no view on the wisdom or the longer term effects of trade policy. It's not our job. And by the way, I should add, our forecasts are generally, and in this case, are very, very similar to what outside forecasters
I understand
are
that. I'm just using you as the gold standard.
We are not at the monthly expected move yet, too, so we'll be watching. We're gonna treat it like it can extend, but watch for those reversal signals. Here's Elizabeth Warren to bless your ears.
Not only does the Fed data now show slower growth and higher prices this year, it sees slower growth and higher prices over the next 2 years as well. And the Fed sees no longer-term boost to the economy or drop in inflation. In other words, no upside to Trump's chaotic tariff war or his other economic
I knew it
policies.
was a political point.
So let's talk for just a minute about what's under the hood of the Fed's economic forecast. Chair Powell, I know a lot of different factors influence the trajectory of interest rates. Is one of those factors how quickly the federal debt grows relative to the growth in the economy?
Not directly, no. We don't look at that as a factor that helps us set monetary policy.
So you're not watching the ratio between
I know,
of
Chris.
the federal debt and the growth in the economy?
No.
How fast the debt is growing and how fast the economy is growing? I think I have quotes from you saying last year, quote, we don't need to pay the debt down. We don't need to balance the budget. We just need the economy to grow faster than the debt. Are you saying something different
facts.
from that now?
No, when asked and pressed, I pretty much always say the same thing as my predecessors, which is that we're on an unsustainable path. I would not say, though, that I will say this, we do not look at federal financial policy and deficits as something that affects our month-to-month monetary policy decisions.
We really don't even have to listen to this, like, to be totally honest. Like, it's politicians talking about things, so it's not necessarily like, oh yeah, this is super. It's important to listen to if you're someone who's very news oriented, but we already know, like, hey, yeah, this is the weekly expected move. Like, I won't be making any bullish decisions yet. 30-minute pulls down and curls back up. 30-minute pulls sideways or sideways, sideways and down, sideways in general, and then curls back up. Okay, we can head to the upside. We can head to the upside. We can head to the upside. But for right now, we already know what's going on. We don't have to listen to this stuff. If anything, it's just going to be a reason for the market to squeeze or the reason for markets to pull back. But all that is being suggested right now in the talks is hey, please talk badly about Donald Trump. That is what is being talked about right now. So if you want to listen to that, that's fine. I'll listen to it with you. I just think it's like not helpful. If you want my honest opinion, like I just don't think it's helpful. I think it'd be more helpful to like click through all of these and see 30-minute divergence on Apple. Tesla breaking down completely, very likely to get a lower high. Amazon breaking to the upside, very likely to get a 30-minute pullback that can maybe extend the move. Nvidia looks like it needs a 30-minute pullback as well. Already hit 152, so now the risk of just a big drop is there. As far as it stands, this could drop out of nowhere, and I wouldn't be surprised. AMD starting to look like what? It at least needs a 30-minute pullback. It's breaking to the upside, but once again, this could be that squeeze euphoric moment that just drops all of a sudden because AMD's outside of a monthly expected move. AMD's almost to like a weekly second standard deviation, I'm pretty sure at this point, right? Like if we go look at AMD, if I can freaking find it, yeah, you're at the second standard deviation for the week. So that tells you have a 95% chance to hold this level as resistance or go lower from this level. And you have a 68% chance to close back below, way below where you're at right now. Like pretty decent sized move down. So the risk of seeing a drop is way worse right now if you're trying to start a position. Now, that being said, people will take that into consideration and say, I'm going to trade that. Hey, you do what you want with your money, but I don't try to short squeezes. These are squeezing. So if you have potential to squeeze and 30-minute pullback is very probable, well, am I going to bet on that 30-minute pullback when this is lying right next to it? No, I'm going to just wait for the 30-minute pullback and then I can make a decision right here for something like Meta. Meta, we actually gave you the general area where the monthly expected move is. It's right about at 700, and you will notice you are above that. What does that tell you about Meta? It tells you that Meta is risky for the rest of this month. Microsoft is in the same boat, risky for the rest of this month, even though it looks like it might want to continue the move. If it needs to do this, though, I'm kind of worried about a lower high. Right? I guess the suggestion here would also be, what if we give up too much? And then we react up and then we lower high that bad boy, right? Technically, I guess your zone is like right in here. Like, right? That's really all you want to retest. You want to get to here to like here. The only thing you want to do right now on the 30-minute is not lose this zone. You lose that zone, you're much likelier to do what? Ooh, resistance and turn back down. But that's a massive drawing, isn't it? That's a big-ass drawing. So in order for that drawing to overall be correct, you would be like, okay, we're going to have to see something really dramatic. And if I draw that up and I show it like this, people might think, oh, that's very likely to happen. That's not very likely to happen. What's likely to happen is you're going to tap into the top. You're going to go like this, then you're going to go like this. That's the most likely thing to happen with this type of look. But if Jay Powell wants to say a few words and then we squeeze is on the table. So we're not talking about shorting right now. We're talking about an opportunity for the long side if it continues. Just so you're clear. That's good, Metal Fuser. That's good. I'm glad you're at least saying, hey, some of the lights are turning on. That's great. I think the lights are on. We just need to clean some dust off them, right? I think you got it. I really do. I think you understand this. I think anyone can look at this daily chart and say, like, do I really want to be going long here? I missed out on things here, right? I think everyone has the capability to understand, and you just have to be honest with yourself and say, hey, the daily chart is creating divergences. Hey, the 2-hour chart is starting to go to the upside and still create a divergence and get to that overbought territory. But it looks like the 30-minute can continue the move. And that's really how you'd break it down and say, if I get a hint from the 30-minute, then I can take potentially like volatility. I can try to call a top in some way, but I want to make sure to maybe take the take into consideration the position size because we are squeezing, so I don't necessarily want to risk a ton of money as there is something that blatantly contradicts my shorts that I want to make sure there's good signals for first before doing so, and pay attention if I need to manage the trade at some point. Yeah, it's not like you make it as complicated as you want. And if it's something that's overcomplicated, then is it even your setup? Is kind of how I like to put it. It's like if it's confusing you, is part of your plan for a trade to be confused? No. So what's an easy solution to in a moment where you're confused? Which we've had a lot of these moments in 2025, so it's good to talk about. If you're confused and that's not part of your plan, I don't know why part of your plan would be I'm going to be confused. Probably not a good idea. But if it's like, hey, if I'm confused, that's not really part of my plan. So what's an easy solution? Let me be patient for a little bit and just see if something becomes more clear. Let me look somewhere else for a moment. Let me divert my eyes for a moment. Maybe I'll look at volatility. Maybe I'll look at the SPY. Maybe I'll look at IWM. Maybe I'll look at DIA, which is likely to give what? Lower highs on the 2-hour. Right? These are likely to give lower highs on the 2-hour. And so if you see an aggressive 30-minute drop all of a sudden, you still can head to the downside. Now you've seen some great price action from this. But if that 2-hour crosses down, where's it going to cross down into? Negative territory. And if that crosses negative and loses this low, you now have a new low. You have a high. You have a lower high, and you have that low. You go make a new one. You're in that negative trend. So you are on the brink, and right as everyone stops thinking about the daily pullback is when you want to start thinking about the daily pullback. Right? I'm going to mention it when it starts to come up. Right? We started mentioning it, weirdly enough, we've been mentioning it the whole way. We've been not leaning towards it here, not necessarily leaning towards it here after this moment, right? Here we were kind of leaning towards it, but then we gapped up, not leaning towards it anymore. Now that we've done this, leaning towards watching for it to form. This is a 30-minute zone. We don't even need to mark that off. You have a daily expected move right where you want it to be. But this can literally remain up all day, and then curl down at the end of the day, go into Wednesday, curl it down, then be able to curl back up. Or it can lower high. You know, buying the dip, I'm kind of bored, so I'm thinking about it. It's kind of hard. Like my note tells me literally be patient until you see topping signals. That was my plan for this week. But I'm starting to get bored, so I might take like a little Friday play if we get a pullback today. I just think I might wait till after GDP or look what signals look like before GDP and do a small risk to reward type play. I got new pens and I love them. Let's see. Oops. That was not a toot. That was my notebook. All right, let's see what's going on today. I still the week move. Sometimes I like to journal just to keep my mind straight, right? Keep it on my head, keep it on my shoulders, sorry. Restart computer tonight. So for today, if you wanted to update your little notebook, you'd be sitting there going, okay, well, what's happening? Just say what's happening. Just write down what's happening. Hey, we are at the weekly expected move. Okay, that's all you're pointing out. Then you just say, oh, okay, we still have the possibility to squeeze, but the more probable thing is to pull back on the 30-minute, potentially to something like 603. Maybe even just 605, because 605 is a critical level, and those are probably the people who rolled to 610. Okay, cool. So I'll be watching for that. And if I want to take a trade, then I would look at behavior around 605 to 603 if we get there. Then we can write another note and say, like, hey, buy potentially extended bull time past GDP. You want to have that note in mind. And then put still risky. Still GDP is risky. Okay. So now I know, hey, we can continue the move, but GDP is a rock in my stream. And then I can sit there and go, okay, what do things look like after GDP, before GDP, all those kinds of things. Dang, Sue. You hate to see it. Yeah. No. Yeah, right now if you hear me suggest anything, I'm reading your comment about PG. Yeah, if you're wondering about anything, I'm giving you analysis, but I am being patient. So if you wanted to know what I'm doing right now, I'm being patient. That's it. Try to keep it as simple as possible right now. We're looking for the potential to get the daily pull back. What I think is a good pullback for Palantir? Well, like I said, a lot of things might be getting close. So just be aware. You're looking for this 2 hour to confirm down. So Palantir is very close. It could be there now. It's getting a big sell in it, like a big wick on the 2 hour. So what you'd really look for here is, do we actually curl down into this area and then curl up again and make a new high? Maybe we even come into the wick and we don't make a new high, but we make divergence. That would be awesome. As far as it goes, I want to pull up the other charts for this one. Still looking at Palantir. Yeah, you know where that wick is? It's directly on the weekly expected move. So weekly expected move would help you out here. And if you see that pull down and then curl back up, right? You see something like this, divergence, bad news. You see something like this, divergence that meets that level but still rejection from the sellers. That's the best case scenario to find the trade. But if you're going to see something aggressive and then you actually pull this up, look for the lower high. So if this is going to go aggressive, then you would look for a lower high and say, okay, that's the moment we're probably going to tear down a little bit deeper. Yeah, you're kind of looking for boom, boom, boom. That could be interesting. But for now, you're at a weekly expected move. You've already tagged it right there. I'll let you know. You need to be aware of the risks here. I think it can continue on the 30-minute, but am I going to risk trying to take the last 30-minute move when we've gotten constant 30-minute moves? I know, it just keeps going to it, which means options market just knows something you don't. I think that's what that means. I think there's enough options in it where they just know something you don't. Let me go look at this on this on this. Let's see. We are still holding every single 5-minute divergence point. We would like to see a squeeze now to violate a lot of things, right now. We would like to squeeze from now, I would say, all the way into, actually, you probably have 10 minutes to sit here. But after that, I think you have the opportunity to squeeze into one of those 30s. So the 5-minute has to roll up soon for you to be able to squeeze here, or else you might pull back. I don't think you have to see something aggressive. You just need that slow leak higher. Right? Slow leak higher. Maybe one aggressive move, and then you just get slow leaking higher move, right? That is possible. And then you watch out for GDP still. That's the unfortunate part. As it stands, you're trying to pull down. I think pull back into 605 makes sense. 603 if it's going to be aggressive. Daily expected move pretty much. I don't think I have the right levels for IWM. IWM rejected from the zone. 30-minute pullback is probable. IWM's doing it first. This is what I think the SPY needs to do. Just pull back into this area and curl back up. Give a scare. People went bullish. Give them a scare. Bad part is, it doesn't have to. I think IWM is just experiencing the 30-minute pullback that I think the SPY should get. Doesn't have to, but IWM did it. IWM's doing it. SGX is doing it. Like, man. We are seeing nothing right now. Yeah, that's usually the case. Tesla's still breaking down. Remember, lower high now. Ooh. NVIDIA just going just directly up to that 150. NVIDIA's risky now. There's a lot of risk from this standpoint forward. Like now that you're hearing me repeat myself there with that kind of comment, I'm more talking about from a perspective of like big stocks being able to make big moves to the upside. Ooh, that potential is getting lower now. That rip from NVIDIA was like all that I can see left. Oh my God, stop being boring. We are going to be live for a little bit longer today, just about 30 minutes longer today. So we'll be going about another 45 minutes here for you guys. Then I'm on baby duty. Is AMD way out of the second standard deviation? It's about 1 to 2 points outside of it. AMD wants the daily pullback now. This is all you need to do, really. Did we actually break that level? And we went like right to it. That's still a very good sign. If AMD wants to squeeze further, keep it going, right? Then we could do this. The next opportunity is daily pullback. If that's going to be aggressive right now, that's fine. You still don't want to lose this zone. You can lose this one for a moment. It can cause some kind of downtrend. And then you can come into this one with your daily pullback. This is where you really want to retest into potentially even earnings for AMD. Yeah, like now that everyone's like, we're bullish on this. Oh, let's pull it back before earnings. Okay, let's start to head up before earnings, and then we just head to the upside. Yeah, I don't think that's like, I think it's bad right now. Like, I don't think getting into it right now is a very good thing. You are outside of your second standard deviation for the week. 95% chance to see a pullback now. All the way until Friday. Doesn't have to happen, right? That can be a risk to reward play. You know, people take those. I'm sure Chris is maybe looking at it. It's not, I wouldn't say it's like way out of the second standard deviation though. It's just, it's significant enough. Futures wise, futures look like they still want to pull down. I think they've even potentially confirmed. I'll go check on my other charts. Yeah, 30-minute did not curl back down for the futures. I'll tell you if it does. Is that the right level? I think I updated this level. 610259 actually. All right, we are outside of it. We are trying to make a new high. This is where you need to get going. Remember we were talking about that 5-minute. It needs to get going here. If it just goes up and rejects from these places or just makes a quick little high and just reverses down and starts to take out lows, just be aware. But this is what needed to happen to continue so far. We still need to go higher though. I've quit. I've got to quit buying multiples of 10x. Come a little closer to that money if your options are way out there and you're buying, you know, 10, 20, 30 contracts, if that's what you're talking about. Yeah, come on. If you're dealing with small amounts of money, going away from the money is not always the best thing, but it can be beneficial. We try to keep it within reason. You know, you reach out, but don't reach out too far because that can, if you're wrong, that can lose value even faster. You're talking about Tesla. Remember Tesla? If you take the wrong play at the wrong time on Tesla, and you're reaching way out of the money, you want to stay within, you know, reason. I like to utilize weekly and monthly expected moves for my reasonable type of, like if I'm really reaching out there, I'll look at a weekly or monthly expected move because it's reasonable. It makes sense. HGX is just not happy. That thing should pull down into 626. VIX, still no reaction here. Starting to go positive here for volatility. So don't think it's all rainbow and sunshine just yet. 5 minutes doing what it has to do to try to go up. Let's see if it actually goes up. Retesting in there. Let's see you actually pop off, son. We just want volatility to slightly increase. We just want it to increase and see some volatile moves for a moment. That would be sick. Got some small shorts above 608, looking for 606, 605. I think that makes sense. And it's not too greedy. That's a good thing. I know you're day trading, so it's not greedy. I like that. You're not trying to say like 602, 600. No, you're just like, all right, you know, something like this. Come on, pull back. I want it. Mr. Joshua's like, please. Just so you can see it for yourself, I will pull up GDP real quick. Just so you can see it for yourself. GDP here, 2.4%. Supposed to come in negative to negative 0.2, negative 0.2. Not negative 2. Holy crap. Negative 0.2. That can cause some disruption, but look for that irrational behavior potentially into Friday. Quit trying to kill my rainbows. Might have to go out with the girls today. Mama's feeling good. There's a big reason we had to keep going to the hospital and get tests. It's almost like 2 humans were involved, right, Richard? Grab a frap. We can't drink too much coffee these days, but we might go to a little splash pad or something. Oh yeah, I was there as well. That's facts, Richard. Would Iran mining the Straits of Hormuz be asking too much? Yeah, that's above my pay grade. That's above my political attention span. Let's see what people are saying out there. Let's see what's trending here. AMD is trending. Oh God. All we need is a Jim Cramer tweet and say AMD is a great stock, and we're scared. Trump says Powell is low IQ for what he does, a mentally average person, a very stupid person. Yo, that's so fucking rude. That's so crazy. Mark Cuban says work-life balance is a luxury ambitious people can't afford because there's someone out there working 24/7 to kick your ass. That's because everyone wants to be the best. The best, right? You don't got to be the best. You got to be the best for your why. Don't be the best. Don't be the best for the world. Be the best for those around you. That's what you're really looking for. That's the happy zone. I'm going to tell you where the happy zone is. It's right there. It's not with $100 million and 100 million problems. It's with a couple of 100K or like 100K a year, and then you're chilling. And you're happy. And you're living life. Mark Cuban is discussing the 1% of people who completely ignore their families, and their real why is their work, not their family. I don't think that's the way to be happiest, in my opinion. But it could be different for other people. If you ain't first, $100 million wouldn't be bad, yeah. But what's making you the $100 million? Is it one trade? Then you got to deal with taxes. Is it? Do you spend the $1 million or the $100 million on multiple properties that now you have to pay property tax on, and then you rent them out to people, and now you have to deal with renters, and now you have to deal with multiple houses that could break down in multiple ways? Do you see how you could run into a lot more problems? I'm much happier with just buying my little house, trying to buy a little beach house later, and calling it good for life. I am perfectly happy letting that 24/7 person sit in front of their computer and day trade while I just wait patiently for my one little trade so that I can go spend time and eat some good food with my girls, and then I can maybe go watch my baby girl play with some water at a splash pad today. That sounds much better. Would I rather work all day or work a little bit and hang out with family? I'd rather work a little bit and hang out with family. Oh, but you could have a mansion. I don't want a mansion. Mansions scare the shit out of me. I'm not gonna lie to you. I would be I'd be like, honey, can you walk with me through the house? I'm that guy. I have the weirdest fears. I'm gonna see, yeah, Richard's gonna be hiding in a room in my house, and I'm not even gonna notice. Sucking up my Wi-Fi and trading. You can come over anytime, Richard. Work all day. If you're young, I get it. Like, the point of being like young and working all the time is so you don't have to do that. Tinfoil hat guy. Yeah, be that. Be an actual YouTuber. Like someone who's just doing YouTube. Someone who's just doing YouTube and betting on AMC and GME. That's like all it seems like. But yes, more money, more problems is a fact. The craziest thing to think about right now with life is you cannot live right now without like working and paying the government something. Like you cannot live right now without paying it. Even if you lumped into and you just had $100 million in cash next to you right now, still, if you went and bought a house, you would still pay the government something to actually live. That's crazy. Like, how psycho is it that you live in a world where you cannot do anything without someone taking your money? Like, anything. You buy $100,000, like, just terrible example, but you buy $100,000 worth of land, you plop a $100,000 house on that land, you say, okay, it's worth $200,000 now, and then you just go, okay, now what? Oh, now I have to pay $10,000 every year. I'm losing money every single year now. Crazy. You want to grow your own vegetables? Well, you have to pay for land to buy, to then pay probably taxes on, to then grow those vegetables. To even grow your own food, you have to pay someone to do that. That's crazy to me. That's crazy. Like, I wish that we lived in a world where someone could literally just be like, look, guys, this is dumb. Can we just change it right now? I wish, but when problems go on for 100 years, it's kind of hard to do that. AG exemption helps massively. That's great. Yeah, it's good for the farmers. But I'm saying if you just wanted to like grow your own vegetables at your house, it still costs something. Like, it was illegal in my state. It was illegal to collect rainwater and have your own filtration system for like years, like till like a couple years ago. That's crazy. That's crazy. I know we're starting to turn into a Rumble stream right now, but like that is crazy. You collect nature and you have to pay for it. Like you get in trouble. Yeah, literally. Yeah, literally. If you weren't like, I think it might have been like 10 years ago. I'm pretty sure it was like if you weren't like farmland, then you couldn't collect rainwater. Like if you weren't like if you were suburb in any kind of way, you couldn't collect rainwater until just like I want to say 5 to 10 years ago. YouTube says demonetized. Probably. Oh, probably. We can't be talking about this stuff on YouTube. Hell yeah, Kroger. Hey, thank you so much for your service, by the way, buddy. Appreciate you being here, man. Yeah, that blown off leg. Yo, like, isn't that crazy? In order to not pay the government stuff, you have to get your leg blown off. Like, they're like, oh shit, we actually feel bad. Like, we're not gonna make you pay. All right, guys, we're gonna have a meetup this week. Everyone bring a saw. We're gonna watch a little. We're gonna watch a movie called Saw to get us in the mood. And we ain't paying property taxes no more. Croker, we're joining you. No, that's terrible. He actually did it for a good reason, guys. That's really really bad. Yeah, that's what we all should be saying, right, Bernie? Kroger, my buddy, comes back from Okinawa in August. Super excited for that. Super excited. He's my best friend. I haven't like seen him in like I haven't seen him consistently, right? He's come back like 1 or 2 times, but he's come back the least all these missions. But he man, I haven't seen my two best friends like I've seen them twice in the last 3 years. It's crazy. I'm so excited. People like Kroger. Well, if you really bring it down to the human perspective, no one should have to. If you are a free society, then technically no one should have to pay for anything. This is my argument why insurance is a scam. Technically, you need a different way to assume risk in certain ways. People should be allowed to assume the full risk. If you want to afford a car that's cheaper and that means there's no seatbelts in it, I actually think that's all right. I think it is up to the individual to decide. I put more emphasis on the thinking power of the individual, letting them make their own decisions. I know that's crazy to say, but that's how I am. Oh, I'm not saying get rid of taxes. I didn't say that. This isn't like some hyped up big thing that we're going to get into arguments about. Like it's not some big topic. I'm just saying like you have to have a better system than you pay taxes every second of every time. We literally fought a war over 2%. Like you can't your taxes are being used not for police and firefighters and that. That's a very small amount compared to what's being used to launder money and start wars. It's just facts. You can't like you think why do you think they tried to get Doge going? Like why do you think we're in so much debt? You think all of that's being utilized well? Damn. But no, I'm like, you could end up being right. I think there's a reason for it, but there's a not this big of a reason for it. That's all I'm saying. That's wrong, Arcane. That's a very Hitler type statement. You're gonna end up with a chip in your head. I ain't doing that. The beach house fund doing amazing, and then we're all gonna have a party there. Man, this is slow. In India, they have cars without seatbelts. They let people decide. People would probably drive more carefully. Ah, we're Americans. We ain't driving more carefully. We're crazy. Everything is so dry, just people hanging on every single. We do have a confirmation here. We finally have like a 30-minute confirmation here. Maybe this is the moment where we try to pull back. I know, Bernie. Same thing kind of happened to me. So I had a bunch of sales job interviews, and I was like, I hate these people. They just want to tell me exactly what to say to sell something, and I'm like, and I think it's wrong, so they always hated me, and I'm like, yeah, I don't like this. And then I went and I was a salesperson and a marketer for like 10 years. It was just a scam too. Probably. Where do you think Google is going from here? Nice move up and now down. Yeah, rejection from this area would make total sense. You still have this up here towards 175, but the very likely thing here is one, now that you've taken back the 5, the next thing to look for is, hey, we're kind of overbought. Let this thing do whatever it wants to do, but eventually it's going to pull down and curl back up. If you're going to be positive here, you don't want to lose this, but you can. You can come all the way back down into here before you turn up. What you don't want to do is just reverse the 2-hour back down. So I think your 30-minute is likely to pull back. Even if this wants to continue, eventually 30-minute pullback that then tries to take you back above these levels. So if you get that pullback now, you do this, and then you curl up, you still would watch for rejection up here from your 2-hour. So yeah, I think down into an up move makes the most sense here. Like this. But you do have a wave of sellers, so if you start to see that, the game's kind of changing there for Google, right? You start to see a new, what's it, lower high? Like from taking out this, just be aware, but you literally can do that and still be fine. The 2 hours just getting going, so it's hard for me to be like, oh yeah, we're just going to reject now and be terrible. It's possible, right? We're reaching up into there. It's definitely possible, right? This is what you want to see. Break this, turn up, reject down. So if that 2 hour just reverses back down, it's not really a good sign. I'm sure the daily's not happy here. But you just want to be aware of like, hey, what if the daily's going to curl up? Okay, then the 2 hour curling up is kind of risky for that. So we could see that move now. Right? And you could head up into July, that first week of July that we were talking about. But as you've broken structure, it's much more probable at this point to reject from like 177 and then turn down. And then you get the full daily pullback, like you're retesting, maybe filling gap. You could buy time though. That's the crazy part. Markets look like they're just continuing to buy time. Even stuff like Meta, right? Even Meta looks like it's done what? It's bought some time. So I would treat Google like it can go a little bit higher after a pullback. All these three going negative here, the little memers. SPY trying to give you somewhat of a confirmation, but we're still in the early parts of the bar there. Why is ASTS really on this continued rise? Is there really that much work for satellite launches? I haven't looked at this in a long time. I have looked at it before. Yeah, this is that's just ballistic. This is probably a politician stock. I can even probably check. See what pops up for it. Okay, so Bank of America getting involved. Wow, it is really just getting that. Wonder if we can look at filings. Oh, no, not that. I need to go to the filings. Where's the filings? See if any big purchases of ASTS came in. Oh, my freaking filings won't open, so we'll do that later. Damn. Overall from this, though, 2 hour pullback, and it can be aggressive. I'd be marking off highs. Just looking for a general area where we could go back down into. I know, a bunch of lines. But you're looking for reactions around these areas. This means if the daily is going to pull back, you'd be looking here. And if it's going to pull back really aggressively here, and you're looking for lower high at that point. But if you can come down into here, I think you'd see a good thing. Yeah, I think it's pretty good. I mean, obviously, this is good, right? You're looking for daily pullback, if not at least 2-hour pullback, right? You don't necessarily, like, you have all this wonkiness over here. So you could literally just do this into this and continue the move into July. So just be aware, but you don't really have the signals that suggest a daily pullback is for sure obviously coming. It can come at any point. But if it pulls down and curls up, then you go, oh, another move like what can happen like this? And you just go ramp it again, and then you potentially fall into some problems. A 2-hour divergence or a 2-hour lower high. Very nice. We see that the 30-minute is finally starting to give up some ground here for the SPY, trying to pull back, but still just going to test yesterday's closing price. We will see if that's able to produce some volatility for the moment. Volatility did give you a good confirmation right here, and it is about to confirm about the 20 in about 1 minute. So in about 1 minute, we could see potential increases in volatility. This means up and down price action, but you heard me say about 10:30 is where I was looking for the pullback. As far as this morning goes, watching this morning, I was like, we need to squeeze now, or else we can, we could see upside into 10:30. But now that we're pulling back, it looks like we are going to start that off a little bit earlier. We'll still see if it fakes you out. It always likes to fake you out, doesn't it? Likes to take out those stops. I'm going to charge my mouse for just a quick moment here, so sorry if the clicking is kind of wonky. 5% of GDP. Are they talking about the debt? Breaking. Trump secures historic NATO deal. Allies to increase spend of 5% of GDP on defense, easing the burden on the United States. It's a massive win for America. Okay, so we're making other people increase their militaries? Is that what I'm reading into there? I don't know. I think so. I think I'm reading that right. Let's go. Get down to that. Ooh. He's just at 609. That's crazy. Did I turn this off? I turn my mouse off, or else it's going to be moving around. I think 30-minute pullback here. AMD should be done. Like, AMD is past the 95% line, guys. Like, AMD is like, please, what those tell you when you see it, when I say 95% line, that means it's decision time. And whatever decision you make, you're going to have to live with tomorrow. So if you're making a bunch of money and you're at a 95% line, I normally take full profit. I will tell you what I do. You're a different person. You can make a different decision, but you have to live with that decision the next day. Oh, Lockheed's gonna be nutty with this this definite ceasefire that's going to hold the entire time. Nobody would ever violate that. They already did once. Will the gap up keep going? Right now, 30-minute pullback is the most likely, but you are squeezing. So not betting on downside, but downside would be the next opportunity. 30-minute pullback is the most probable. 30-minute pullback to 605 to 603 is the most probable during the day. And then we're actually potential to squeeze into upside towards the last hour of the day. You work there, Mark? Insider info? Give me, Mark. Give me. VIX is rising. We're going to get a pullback into tomorrow and need this to go higher. It is a healthy move. Yeah, there is nothing about this that is unhealthy besides a surprise from GDP. The surprising negativity from GDP would be interesting, but I wouldn't put it past us to show a bad number with GDP, go up, and then say bad things about GDP after we set the Friday closing trap, that is potential. I'm just excited for volatility to kind of keep up. Feels more like reloading. Oh, I like that, Laws. That's funny. I'm shorting it. Oh God. I mean, your futures, just so you can see what I'm kind of looking at over here. I'm just kind of keeping an eye on these. Sorry, I don't have my mouse right now. It's charging. 30-minute divergence all across. I don't like that too much, but I can see how the 2 hour is squeezing and needs to pull back. Where did it pull back into? These aren't the correct levels, but you'd say like into these wicks or all the way down into something like right here, 60-40. That'd be very interesting. But I just wanted to show you guys that the 30-minute divergences are all starting to confirm right now. So now's your pullback time. Once this confirms, you go, yep, pulling back, right? Pullback most probable. Now we're getting the look of the pullback. If something goes wrong, you got to see things reject and turn back up, right? We got to see 15 minutes roll back up. We have even stronger buster bunkers that are currently in development and could be deployed if needed. Hiring all the time. Yes, I assume Lockheed Martin would be always able to grow. Kroger really wants to work there too. Let's do it. Do it, Kroger. Link him up. Link up your boy here. Help out our vets. Still going. Just break the damn low, futures. Break the damn low. Exxon is? Go look. I wish I had a move for this, because this is a good one. Ooh. I would be very careful with the 30. Now the 2 hour, that could curl up, but look at the selling. So when the selling is this aggressive, yes, the correct thing to pay attention to is an upward move. But is that going to be an upward move right now that's going to take you up to here? You don't necessarily know yet. So what you'd like to see is the 30-minute higher low or the 30-minute divergence for this. So what you're actually looking for is a reaction to the daily expected move, potentially into here, that then fails. And then you potentially create a divergence point. I think that would be fantastic. But you always can just reject and head down to like 104.83, that little mark off. But if the 2 hour is able to swing up, I would just be like, hey, I need a 30-minute higher low. I need a 30-minute divergence before this is able to be safe at this point. It's very aggressive. It's not aggressive enough to be like, oh, this is horrible, but look at the daily and tell me that this isn't looking like a daily pullback can come. And maybe it goes down into that 104.83 before it figures stuff out. I would like it to spend a long time forming this, though. That was really hard to draw with my middle finger on a touchpad. That was really hard. Please hit a like because I'm really hard to draw right now. So yeah, I think you have the right mindset there of like, hey, we could see positivity. I don't know if positivity comes right now, but the daily pullback looks pretty damn probable there, doesn't it? Plan's working good so far. Hell yeah, Chris. Nice job. I'd probably, I don't know, I'd probably take a deeper look at it, but it looks like the move can try to continue. I would look for reversals, though. That looks like daily pullback. If you had to guess, you'd be like, man, that's pretty aggressive. So a lower high into further daily pulling back. I just need something to do. All right, I'm going to go use the restroom real quick, and then we'll get into the last bit of our stream today. We'll watch a little bit past like 15 minutes from now. Be right back. Well, now we have a booze AC unit went out. So I gotta get an electrician or something over there. So now I have more fun things to do today. How fun does that sound? Sounds pretty fun. I love seeing her, and she always makes me food, so I'm always happy about that. I don't know about never, but don't hope to do it consistently. Multiple orders and Boeing repeatedly drop the ball. Great job, security of it. Like, what this guy Boeing came down to our point that we're paying attention to, but kind of lost it. So I think that's interesting. But the daily is suggesting like, hey, I'm still positive. Watch for me to turn up. But as this 2 hour looks like it really wants to roll, and we can't create those pathways higher. If the 2 hour curls down here, you know, Boeing could head down, man. Boeing could actually head down pretty aggressively towards something in here towards like 182. This could be like an ABC kind of deal. Boom, boom, boom. And then we see if we're able to figure our stuff out down here. Maybe we make 2 hour divergence or something. So we'll see if it can whip back up, though. Daily swing trade is there on the table. You know, you're by the center line. Just see if that daily confirms that. But I think the 2 hour could reject there. They have a habit of doing. Like I said, I knew the higher ups at Boeing. I have very funny stories about the higher ups at Boeing, and I've met them. I've at least met some of them. Some of the guys making, you know, $700,000 a year or whatever. I've met them. They're douchebags. I'll just tell you, they are not worried about safety with their planes. Let's put it that way. I've heard so many things. They are worried about money. That's it. That's all they talk about is money. Money, money, money. Like you know your 1% people who love their work and don't live their life at all. That's those guys. And they want your money. They want wars. They want this, they want that, and they don't want to make the plane nicer in any way. I literally have a whole story about their safety review. I literally know a story about a safety review told directly from the higher ups to me in person. And it was bad. That's what I'm saying, Croker. That's why I don't want to be that guy. I'd rather be the guy just like making what I think makes me happy in a good spot. Ooh, gotta maintain those 700K salaries somehow. All right, looks like we can pull back into GDP. That's kind of crazy. Do we have anything else tomorrow? GDP almost looks like it's supposed to be bad. Initial jobless claims, 9 a.m. Pending home sales. Next time we have personal income, personal spending. Both of those down. I don't know. We've extended into Thursday and potentially Friday. We'll see if we get upside into Friday. It's not necessary. We're not like on a OpEx or something, but it is possible. Hey, thank you guys for liking the stream today. 66 people out there liking the stream. Appreciate it. If you haven't yet, hey, give it a whirl. It's pretty fun to see that little thumb highlight. It's just so much fun. Yeah, that's probably fair, Croker. he was kind of a rude dude, wasn't he? Oakland, what level you got if this thing pulls back? I'm still looking at that 605, 603 area. Yeah, they would tell an employee they're about safety, and then an employee hurts themselves on the job, and then they try to sue against them so they don't have to pay them because they didn't do things safely. Make it make sense. 603.50 was my move today to downside. Okay, cool. We're in the same general area. Thanks, man. I don't talk much, but I enjoy your streams. Hey, Will, I appreciate you being here. Every time I see that picture, Will, I just hope it just pops in my head every time. Literally, I saw you this morning. Anybody with a picture like Mr. Joshua, if you have a picture of your kid, I immediately just have thoughts of like good thoughts for your family. Like it's just weird. That happens to me every day. I see Will, I see people like Mr. Joshua, and I'm just like, oh, hope their family's doing well. Like it just pops in my head. So it's nice. I don't mind it. How's GME's forecast? GME still needs to make a 2-hour higher low or a 2-hour divergence. I'm still in the inclination that 2-hour divergence is on the table. This means that we could come down to this area and set a trap by this Friday, and then we actually start to see upside. Or we see that upside, then we pull back into this area to head up. Right? This is potentially, right? It's very, very up in the air with this one right now. You'd maybe say like 30-minute, maybe hourly, but this one's kind of up in the air with, is that a higher low? Don't think about me at all. God, Richard needs his attention. Richard, whenever I see you, I think of Schnooky. I'm not gonna lie. Every time I read that last name, I just think Schnooky wants shmush mush. Let's look at AMC. Yeah, AMC as well. Looks like it might want to curl the move. It was doing good things too, originally. Let's see if it's tapping into buyers. Yeah, you're potentially tapping into buyers now. But that 30-minute crossing right there can't give you a ton of confidence. You want to see that flick back up. You can kind of see the structure to head higher, but you know, you might have gotten that pathway higher as well. So all this could be a retest. See if that's able to curl back up. But right now it's down. So there's nothing positive really there. 2 hours in negative territory can always turn down. Nothing too positive there. Daily scale is starting to go negative. Nothing positive there. You have the opposite of the recipe for success right now. Your job is to figure out, hey, am I seeing some things that could give me the opportunity for success in a couple of days? And I think you need time to see higher lows and things like that from 2-hour charts. So I'd give it a few days, but it's an area to make a decision, I think. Like risk to reward people would make decisions there in some way because of the retest of exactly where we went to, $3. Probably, Richard. Yeah, Richard's good. Richard's good. Richard, I'm done after this, buddy. I was trying to see Samsung for IP. I think my dad got sued by Microsoft when I was younger. I remember going through tough times then. Oh, I hit the limit, Mr. Joshua. Not really like mine, not really mine, but definitely my wife's. 4? Stop it. I'm too old for that. Anyway. All right, let me click through a few of these on the 30-minute. Let's just go through some Qs. They can pull back, then continue the move. SPY, they can pull back, then continue the move. IWM can pull back and then continue the move. DIA can pull back and continue the move. TLT is very interesting. It really is shaping up some divergences here. I'm going to look at this on my other charts real quick. Okay, so you need to see a squeeze to $88 or you are at risk of seeing the 2-hour drop here and start to give up some of these lows. Now you have a lot going on in here, and the 2 hour is not necessarily like the best looking, right? We do see the divergence at the top. We see that extreme divergence on the RSI. So if you're able to curl down here, just be aware that this can curl down daily charts. All right. As of this moment, we haven't taken anything back to raise that floor. So if we reject from here and lose all this, you're very likely to test that low or even see something like 82.50 before heading to the upside. The 30-minute chart is suggesting, hey, we're still positive, but there's a bunch of divergence as well. So all of this stuff could start to domino effect. And then the other thing you would just watch for is like, does the 2 hour pull back and then turn back up into positive territory before really starting that downtrend? So very interesting there. Apple, the 2-hour perspective, still looking for if the 2-hour can reject and turn back down. Apple is showing a bunch of 30-minute divergence, so just be aware of the fact that Apple wants to potentially reject from this area. Is this overall like bearish? Technically, you would have to say yes. You are coming into the zone and then giving those divergences to potentially reject the 2-hour, which is still relatively close to the center line. If that crossed over, it would not take too much time to go negative. So you want to treat this like it can make a new low this time. I don't know if that's the most probable. You're still always looking for if the 2-hour can pull down and curl up a little bit better. But all you know right now is this is a very risky look for upside. And if it wants to squeeze, it's going to have to break through. And I don't really like taking those kinds of plays. Tesla, I think Tesla is going to do what we suggested. I think you are likely to see maybe even more downside, but I would say, some kind of lower high would make a lot of sense. Maybe even a retest of the weekly expected move to do so. But you knew it was risky right here. We pointed out it was risky right here. We pointed out that we wanted 350. We hit 350. The job is done. Amazon on the 30-minute, right away you'd go, oh, this is rolling, but what happened? It took back the 5. Okay, so times where you take back the 5, you're still more aware that this move could continue into the future with just a simple 30-minute pullback. And it doesn't even have to pull back right now. It just seems like it might want one because Amazon is not overbought in any way. So this could continue the move first, then see the pullback to give you some kind of good structure to the upside. So be aware of that. We do see that Amazon is... Yeah, once it reaches up towards something like 217, towards these highs, it starts to get a little risky for Amazon. Nvidia has really broken through to the upside. It really looks like it wants to continue for at least one push higher. Will that be a lower high, or will that pull back and be a higher one? That is what we will be watching for the next few sessions. AMD, same scenario. Is it going to set up some kind of reversal signal on the 30-minute and the 2-hour, or is it just going to cross down on the daily all of a sudden? The job here is pretty good. It means now we can come back down into these type of areas and figure our stuff out. I don't think it'll be that quick. I think that we could see this chop around for quite some time till we actually are able to get down into that zone. But I do believe that we will end up there for now until I see things differently. Meta here is outside of the monthly expected move in yellow. We do see daily divergences starting to form. We don't necessarily have 2-hour divergence that looks the best. We have multiple points, so we're still paying attention. Do we have any inclination that the 30-minute will turn down? No, you do not. So something very, very likely here for Meta is to curl down into this area, see a new high, and then set the trap for potentially Friday afternoon. We will be paying attention to that with you. Microsoft, as of right now, is showing a similar thing as the other one, saying, hey, I have little divergences, but that could just be a 30-minute pullback to test that 5 and curl up into positive territory again. Microsoft is very risky to hold to the long side at this time. We do see Google heading to the upside, trying to go positive, so we're looking for the higher. Oh, no, but we might set up a 2-hour lower high, and that seems to be the most probable thing for Google. Some kind of pullback that continues the move, and then we set up a lower high. The memers, we kind of did go over. DJT starting to roll at this point. If this is some kind of bad thing, then you're going to go negative, and that is the opportunity as of right now, is you are going negative to potentially test this low, go make a new one. If you're going to hold up better, you would look for that 1785 level. SoFi getting a little risky to the upside, but 30-minute pullback into another 30-minute move is still probable. We do see the 2-hour getting very excited to the upside, and we see 2-hour divergence. So if the 2-hour is able to cross, you want to be aware if the volatility increases dramatically and the daily starts to pull back to something like 1250 is very possible with this look. Palantir, look at this daily and tell me right now that Palantir does not look like it wants a daily pullback. It does, and that thing could break down through this zone. That means we're paying attention to right here. We're paying attention to right here. And we're paying attention to all the way down here. That means a daily pullback could happen at any point to curl up into positive territory. Maybe it's just down into this zone as we've risen that floor and we're able to see some upside. That would be a good thing. If we're going to continue to break down over time, then we could see something like this to actually turn to the upside in the future. So just be aware of how this thing would like to move. Palantir not necessarily at monthly expected move, I believe. Let me double check. Yeah, but just tag the weekly. So now you're kind of looking for, hey, a 30-minute pullback. That gives me the 30-minute divergence. That gives me the obvious short. If that opportunity popped up, even I might take that opportunity. So I'll look at that towards Friday. Gold is reaching the lower end here, tagging this area, which we really, really like, but it did break the low. So we are looking for what? A reaction up from gold that actually fails as far as GLD goes. Now, we've been looking at the futures for this, and now you're seeing a 30-minute higher low, which means the 2-hour can get somewhat of an upward push that then potentially will fail. As you are getting that 30-minute higher low, you have to realize that the 2-hour is still in that downward trend, very, very negative, and you most likely will have to make what? A higher low or a divergence. And right now you have potential for higher low to try to come back into here, but you are still below the 5. If you take back the 5 and curl down, that would be a good thing. You'd probably want to see a massive move like this to get into that uptrend. Daily divergence across this, very, very likely to be some kind of top, actually. This is kind of a topping signal here for gold, so just be aware of it. Man, if gold's going to top, are we going to mega squeeze? That would be insane. AVGO, risky, risky, risky at this point. Above, going up towards the monthly. I believe it didn't go above the monthly, did it? No, it didn't go above the monthly. You are outside of a weekly, so you have a 68% chance to pull back by the end of the week. And the 30-minute chart looks like it wants to continue the move. Even making a little bit of divergence is fine. We can know that the 2-hour can turn down from here. But if the 30-minute pulls back into that 5 and curls up into positive territory, we take out the high, we make a new one. Maybe we set that trap for Friday. We'll be paying attention. Let's go into JP Morgan because that one did hit a monthly expected move. You're directly at it as of right now. You actually do have forms of divergence on your RSI, but you want to treat this like it can continue one more time. 30-minute MACD is just super positive. 2-hour MACD is super positive at this point. So for the 2-hour to tell you that dailies are bursting around, you will need a lower high or a divergence for some kind of hint. Be careful with JP Morgan is what the monthly expected move is suggesting. Squeezes can happen, but it is very hard to see that, especially when you are at a monthly expected move. We do see that the SPY is pulling back, doing something that we saw as the most probable. The area that I am looking for is anywhere from 605 to 603. That is where I will pay closer attention. So hopefully we see those kinds of levels in the next few moments today. Maybe even by end of day, we see those type of moves. Thank you guys so much for joining today. I really, really do appreciate it. I hope you guys... You mean 30 minutes of time? No, 30-minute pullback means a 30-minute pullback on that chart. So a 30-minute pullback like here doesn't mean we're just going to see 30 minutes of selling. A 30-minute pullback means you might see a full day's worth of downward price action. Right? A 30-minute pullback is where a 30-minute chart will pull back to the center line. To the center line on the MACD. So notice that's way more than 30 minutes. That's almost an entire day. Okay, so it's kind of like if we say 30-minute pullback, it could mean like half a day to 24 hours. Could mean like a full day to a half a day. Yeah, sorry about that, Christine. I know you've been here a minute, and I bet that's been confusing you for a while. No, if we were talking about just a, like, hey, we are going to pull back for 30 minutes, we'd probably be looking at like 5-minute charts. So you're more likely to see like a half day's worth of selling to pull back with a trend move down is what we're overall talking about here. Hey, thank you guys, and thank you for that question, Christine. I'm glad I saw it so we could clear that up. I really do appreciate you asking questions. I think it's awesome. Thank you guys for being here today. Thank you for liking, subscribing. You guys have been fantastic. You always are, and I appreciate all of you guys coming in today. Takes some time to learn, but once I do, it's good. Hey, that's good, Christina. That's awesome. I hope you guys have a great day. I hope you spend some time today. If your setup needs some patience, maybe you go just do something fun or do something to actually live your life and not stare at charts all day. But make sure if you are trading this, you're trading like water. It seems like we have risen that floor to pull back and maybe even see upside into Friday. And then we'll keep our risk hat on as we are getting a lot of moves outside of monthly expected moves. Have a great day, guys. Peace out. Trade like water, pay attention to the rocks, a lot of rocks down the stream, and the first one comes tomorrow with GDP, so we'll look how things are in the afternoon, and if I need to put out a YouTube video, I will. All right, guys, peace out. Have a good day.